Hello people, good evening, another beautiful day. Yep, hope your five senses work, health and strength is good. What? What's up gamers? Look, got this nice little article from Tweaktown here. This article breaks down the whole Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Microsoft used a chart, you know, to explain Sony's position in the market. So basically, Microsoft is saying, they're saying that the Nintendo Switch is not a ninth generation console. The Nintendo Switch is not a ninth generation console. In Japan, Sony leads Microsoft 96-4. We're talking console-wise. Then, let's see, where is it here? It's 96-4. Globally, it's 70-30. So PlayStation is 70, Xbox is 30. In Japan, it's 96-4. PlayStation dominates Japan. But then in the fourth quarter, it's 69-31. It's PlayStation 69, Xbox 31. So this little article breaks down the whole breaks down where Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft stand. But this article really talks about Sony and ex-Sony and Microsoft being the only two current consoles on the market. The Nintendo Switch is an 8th generation console. The Xbox Series X and S and PS5 are 9th gen. Listen to this. Let's get to this. It says here, Microsoft used FTC anti-Nintendo market definition to make Sony seems bigger. Microsoft confirms it used the FTC narrow margin definition that removed Nintendo as a competitor. Look, if Nintendo sells hardware, they're competitors. But anyway, remove Nintendo as competitors, which makes PlayStation seems bigger than it is. Says here, video footage of Microsoft February press conference in Brussels has clarified one of the most confusing data points presented in the merger. Says here, back in February, Microsoft met with European regulators to present new documents in the Activision merger proceedings. Microsoft announced that it had signed a 10-year agreement with Nintendo and Nvidia for Call of Duty. Shortly after its hearing with regulators, Microsoft then held a press conference that presented some interesting and somewhat confusing information. Microsoft Brad Smith claimed that Sony PlayStation conquers its competitors with an 80% share of the European console market. Microsoft Xbox, on the other hand, only commanded 20% of the EU console market. There's just one big question. Where is Nintendo? After all, the Switch has sold millions more units than Xbox, and the Switch platform has made nearly $67 billion from games, hardware, and service. That means they had the money to buy Activision Blizzard, and they didn't do it. But anyway, more context is surely needed, and now we have it. Video footage of the press conference was recently published. In the video, Smith confirmed that Microsoft used the FTC new high-performance console market classification to present the data. Then it says here, think about the market that the Federal Trade Commission defined and what it would mean here in Europe. It is a market in which Sony has an 80% share, Xbox has 20% share. Globally, then it says share split, close parentheses, is about 70-30. In Japan, it is 96-4 in Sony's favor. And while there are some fluctuations over time, these numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year, when Sony suffered constraint in its supply chain and it saw its numbers dip, they came back strong in the fourth quarter as their supply chain recovered. By our calculation, on a global basis, Sony outsold Microsoft in the fourth quarter by a margin of 69-31. This is pretty much consistent with the global market share we've seen for 20 years. Sony, like regulators, has an alternative as well. it can either do a deal with Microsoft or argue that the deal should be blocked. We understand in some ways it can be tempting when you have an 80% share to just hope the future never arrives, to hold on as long as possible to a current market share. To hope that the future that European game developers has said is cross-platform doesn't come until a later date. Think about this market that exists today. Smith gestures to the 80-20 pie chart. It has 120 million console, PlayStation and Xbox combined. It says this: the Federal Trade Commission has segmented the console space with a new definition that does not include Nintendo. The FTC principal complaint recognized what called a high-performance console market, which only includes Microsoft and Sony. Nintendo is left out because the Switch isn't technically a high-end console. And then it says, among other reasons. Keep going here. It says here, in other words, Microsoft 80-20 pie chart doesn't include Nintendo because it is based on the FTC's new high-performance console market definition. This was not made expressly clear to gamers or consumers that had not attended the press conference. So why did the FTC remove Nintendo from the big three? It's simple. Regulators have determined that Xbox and PlayStation compete more closely with each other than they do Nintendo. And they're right. Well, sort of. Says here, then it shows the chart here. PlayStation is 24,410, Xbox is 15,563, and Nintendo is 12,623. And this is the big three video game revenues. Anyway, let me keep going here. It says here, our analysis indicate that PlayStation and Xbox are indeed more similar in their level of competition with one another than they are with Nintendo. That's not to say Nintendo should be discounted or removed from the console market either. And I mean entirely. That's how we get skewed data that's disproportionately show PlayStation lead over Xbox. However, it is indeed fair to say that Nintendo is both a competitor, facts, and an anomaly in the console gaming space. Says here, it's worth noting that the FTC is the only regulator to outright segment the market in this way and to remove Nintendo from the console space. The CMA acknowledged Nintendo's presence and power in the market. However, it has also focused more on the dynamics of Xbox versus PlayStation as it relates to mergers. For better analysis on why we think regulators have removed Nintendo from the market, click here. Here's how the FTC described the new high-performance console market. Then it says here, page 6, of these three console makers, PlayStation and Xbox compete in a high-performance segment that includes only the most technological advanced and capable consoles. In November 2020, both Microsoft and Sony launched their current generation of consoles, the Xbox Series X and Series S consoles, collectively, Xbox Series S, X and S, and then the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Digital Edition consoles, collectively, PS5 respectively. It says Xbox Series X/S and PS5 console are the only high-performance consoles available today, and are considered to be in the 9th generation of gaming consoles. In contrast, Nintendo's most recent console, the Nintendo Switch, is not a 9th generational gaming console. The Nintendo Switch was released in 2017 in the latter half of the 8th generation of gaming console, which had begun approximately 2013. The Nintendo Switch also has lower computational performance, more in line with Microsoft and Sony's 8th generation console they're talking about the Xbox One and PS4. Then it says here, the proposed acquisition is reasonably likely to substantially lessen the competition or tend to create a monopoly in the relevant market for high-performance console, multi-game content library, subscription service, and cloud gaming subscription service. The proposed acquisition is therefore reasonably likely to result in a harm to both competition and consumers. Then it says high-performance consoles are relevant product markets. 63 and 64, 65. High-performance consoles are a relevant market for evaluating the likely competitive effects of proposed acquisitions. The only high-performance consoles offered for sale today are the most recent generations of Microsoft Xbox and Sony PlayStation consoles, the Xbox Series X/S and the PS5. The Xbox Series X/S and PS5 are therefore included in the relevant market. And then last paragraph here says here, the third major gaming console available today, the Nintendo Switch, is highly differentiated from the Xbox and PlayStation console in significant ways. The Nintendo Switch therefore is not included in the relevant market. End of the article. So there you have it. Now we know who is current, and we know who is current and who is not, and we know where everybody stands at in the video game market. But this was the FTC really talking. So the CU, I mean the EU and the CMA, you know, they consider Nintendo a competitor, but the FTC now is saying that the only two relevant consoles are the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 physical and digital edition. The Nintendo Switch is not a 9th generational console. That's one, and it's not, and it's not on this. It's not on the same level as the Xbox Series X and S and PS5. You know, CPU power wise, RAM wise, GPU wise, and computational power wise, if you want to call it that. So yeah, the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 are the only two current consoles. The Steam Deck, on the other hand, is a part of the PC family, but the Steam Deck competes with the ANEO, the One X, and the GPD. Okay, so yeah, and Nintendo, they're in the console business, but they don't make consoles like Sony and Microsoft do. So yeah, but when I looked at this chart, this shows where everybody is at. You know, 24,410 PlayStation, 15,563 Microsoft, 12,623 Nintendo, and this is we're talking revenue here. So, and then it's an 82. I mean, they took Nintendo out, so it's an 80-20 pie chart. But then if you go up now, fourth quarter, PlayStation 69, Xbox 31, and then globally PlayStation is 70, Xbox is 30, but then in Japan it's 96-4. So PlayStation 96, Xbox is 4. So PlayStation is a Japanese company, Xbox is an American company. So yeah, but besides that, you know, Microsoft had to stay competitive, you know, to make the move that they're making. And then you add Game Pass to the mix now, so now Game Pass gave Microsoft an extra boost. So instead of Microsoft like, okay, keeping Game Pass to themselves, they said, okay, we know PlayStation got a big user base, so you know what, we're gonna put Game Pass on any piece of hardware we can. And that's what they did, and it worked. But so now they have closed. I mean, you can say with Game Pass they have closed the gap based on how based on the platform that Game Pass is on. So, but globally, PlayStation, PlayStation still got a margin, and fourth quarter PlayStation still has a little margin, but in Japan it's a straight, what you want to say, blowout. But play is Japan. Japan. PlayStation is a Japanese company. Xbox is American. Nintendo is a Japanese company. But Microsoft had to stay competitive in this market, to maintain some relevancy. So they had to do what they had to do, man. So yeah. But nice article, by the way, Tweak Tom. Anyway, that's it for the article, though. But this article, really breaks down everything, where everybody is, And Nintendo, their stance is, well, we don't, so basically with the Switch, Nintendo is behind. They're behind. Like remember when I was telling you guys that when they built the Switch, they went backwards, they fell off, they're behind. Nintendo is behind with the Switch. The Switch is not even a 9th generation console. And that's bad. And even though they made 67 billion with the Switch is still not on the level with the Xbox and PlayStation. So yeah, they're, like I told you guys, they are behind with the Switch. So yeah. Other than that, man, that's it in a nutshell, though. But good article, Tweak Down. Nice one too. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek. Board, Dark Side. Go. Peace.